Dear students, today we will discuss very interesting problem in quantum mechanics, that is quantum tunneling. Quantum tunneling has got its own applications in all domains domains of science. Especially chemistry has also got a couple of applications that we will see later at the end of our discussion on this particular topic. And quantum tunneling, in this particular topic, what we are going to study is essentially what is quantum tunneling. We will try to obtain an expression for tunneling probability, and we'll try to understand basically the tunneling probability expression which we are going to derive. And we will try to, at the end, as I just pointed out, we will try to understand the quantum tunneling applications that we come across in our chemistry, right? So that is the brief outline of my presentation today. Before going to the description of quantum tunneling, first of all, let me tell you a general observation that we encounter everyday life. Suppose you just imagine that we are walking towards a wall, and the height of the wall is, let's say it is 1 feet, right? Or maybe for the sake of discussion, not 1 feet, maybe you can take it as a 2 feet. Now what we do, can we go out other side of the wall or not? Definitely we can go to the other side of the wall, because the height of the wall is very much small, therefore it doesn't affect us in going the other side. We'll just jump over the wall and then we'll go. Then imagine the same wall if it is maybe some 6 feet, maybe 6 feet. Well, a person like you or me, we may not be able to jump the wall, but there are people, who are especially participating in Olympics, and then high jumpers are there, so they can actually even jump over even 6 feet also. Okay, and let's say if the height is 10 feet, and it is almost impossible, I would say, for a person, any person jumping, more than 10 or 15 feet wall. Why? Because that is, it is basically not at all possible. The height of the valley is too much to overcome, right? And all the same example, let me try to apply to a particle which behaves, which basically governed by the classical physics laws. Okay, let us imagine that we have a particle which totally governed by classical physics laws, and I put this wall. Okay, this is my wall, or and scientifically we say it is a barrier. Okay, and the height of the barrier I denote here as a potential energy. Okay, I denote the height of the barrier. So instead of using wall, I just replace that wall with a barrier, and instead of talking about the height of the wall, I'm saying that its energy is, its potential energy is V0, right? So we have chosen a barrier whose potential energy is V0, and in the y-axis basically the energy is represented. And now imagine we have a particle, and this particle is having this much amount of energy, and it is traveling from left hand direction to the right hand direction, and this is where the barrier actually starts. Okay, so this is our notation. The energy of the barrier is V0, the potential energy is V0, and let's say the energy of our particle is capital E. It is basically less than the potential energy of the barrier, right? So in this particular case, what exactly happens is that it's like, when we are traveling towards a wall of 10 feet or 15 feet, we will, the moment we encounter the wall, then we will come back, because we cannot go, right? So it is absolutely not possible, unless you are really a ghost, which we normally come across in movies and all, right? So the moment the particle here encounters a barrier whose potential energy is so much, then it basically reflected back. Now you can Imagine another situation where the particle, the classical particle, whose energy is above the energy of the barrier, that is V0, right? So the energy of the particle E is greater than V0, then what happens? Well, it will just cross the barrier and then it will go to the other side of the barrier, and there is a finite, there is 100% probability that you will find the particle the other side of the barrier. So this description, if you write it in terms of a simple mathematical notation, capital E, which is the energy of the particle, if its energy is less than V0, that is the height of the, that is the potential energy of the barrier, a classical particle reflects back, and the moment when it finds the barrier. And now this you can represent the other way. In this particular case, what is the case? That is, capital E is less than V0, then transmission probability is 0. What is transmission probability? If the transmission probability is nothing but basically the probability of finding the particle in this particular case out the right hand side of the barrier is 0, because it cannot go. It is just a total 100%. It is reflected back. Therefore, the transmission probability is T is 0. And the other case, capital E, which is the energy of the classical particle, is greater than the potential energy of the barrier, then the classical particle basically transmit over the barrier, and then you will find the particle the other side of the barrier. Now, in terms of the transmission probability, capital T, in this particular case, it is not is equal to 0. Now, the same example we take once again, but this time our particle is not a classical particle, so it's not a simple classical particle, but in this particular case we will consider a quantum particle, and how it behaves, let us consider. We have the same barrier, the height of the barrier is V0. Now let's say this is the classical particle energy. What happens is like a ghost that we see in movies, you know, in movies, ghosts actually penetrate through the walls, right? And the doors and everything that we have seen. I think I'm sure that most of you watch movies, and you might have seen that, you know, the ghost simply penetrate through the walls and doors and all the obstacles. So likewise here, our quantum particle, it does a magic. What is the magic? The magic is, even if its energy is less than the barrier energy, okay, doesn't matter, it will just penetrate through the barrier, and it will go to the other side of the barrier. Okay. Now, of course, the other case is quite obvious. It doesn't matter whether it is a quantum particle or the classical particle. What is the other case? The other case is that the energy of the quantum particle is greater than the potential energy of the barrier. Of course, like a classical particle, this quantum particle also just pass through the barrier, and then you can find the particle the other side of the barrier. And if you try to understand or represent this particular phenomena in terms of mathematics notation, when the energy of the particle E is greater than the potential energy of the barrier, then the quantum particle basically transmit over the barrier, and then the transmission probability is basically is not 0. And if the energy of the particle is less than 0, the quantum particle basically penetrates through the barrier even when it encounters a barrier. Okay, when it encounters a barrier. So in terms of transmission probability, okay, this is something very interesting. The transmission probability is not equal to 0, right? So among the 4 conditions that we have seen, in the case of a classical particle and in the case of a quantum particle, right? So the quantum particle behavior especially very interesting when, you know, this particular case is very interesting. What is this case? The case is that when the energy of the particle is less than the height of the less than the potential energy of the barrier, it just basically penetrates through the barrier. This is something very, very interesting, and in fact this is the phenomena what is referred to as a quantum tunneling. Okay, quantum tunneling. Instead of crossing, jumping over the barrier, it basically passed through the barrier. So this is referred to as the quantum tunneling. Okay, a particle or a quantum system penetrate through the barrier or tunnel through a barrier when its energy is less than the barrier potential energy, right? So this phenomena, what we refer to as a quantum tunneling. And as you can realize that the transmission probability is a function of energy of the particle. Therefore, the transmission probability, it is appropriate to represent in a capital T of E in our particular representation, right? So we are actually, what we are going to do, we are going to derive an expression for a capital T of E. That is what we are more interested in. And then we'll try to understand its behavior. Now, before going to derive an expression, let me ask a very simple question: why this is unusual behavior that we encounter for a quantum system? So why do we see a special situation for a quantum particle? Well, the answer is very simple. It is a quantum particle, and the quantum particles behave. Our quantum system basically behaves like a wave at the same time as a particle. So it basically is due to the dual nature of the quantum particle, we see this type of behavior, isn't it? You just imagine, or you just recollect what exactly happened. Suppose you have a light. Even if you close your door, some light actually always will come inside, enter inside your room. Have you ever seen this? I'm sure most of you would have noticed this phenomena, real phenomena. Even when we close the door, the light actually enters inside the door. Why? Why? Because the light is actually a wave. A wave is something that has a property of propagating. It basically propagates. Okay, some light basically cross over, and then it will find something, and then it will enter into the room. But something like, it basically penetrates through the barrier because of the propagation, wave nature. So wave has a nature of propagation, right? Whereas the particle do not have the propagation behavior, right? The particle, the moment it is said to be a particle, then the moment it encounters the barrier, if its energy is very high, then its capacity, then basically it just reflects back. Okay, but a quantum particle, it's not like that. It will just penetrate through because it has a magic. That magic is the wave. So it behaves like a particle as well as the wave, and wave have the nature of propagation. That is the exact reason for observing this quantum tunneling behavior. Let's say since our particle is a wave, so it is basically coming, traveling this direction, and then the moment it encounters, its intensity of the wave basically reduces, and then even after the after crossing the barrier, it will have some finite amount of energy, and then slowly it will dissipate. So this is essentially the behavior of the quantum tunneling behavior. Essentially, is due to the dual behavior of a quantum particle. Right? Now, what we try to do, we try to derive an expression for transmission tunneling probability. And for that, let us define our system. We have a barrier, and the barrier height is V0, and the energy of our particle is capital E, right? And for the sake of simplicity, let us imagine the width of the barrier. Okay, this is also an important thing. The width of the barrier is also an important parameter. It has to be defined. Then in my representation, I'm keeping my origin here, and then as a result of which the width of this particular barrier, it is A, capital small a, right? You just imagine that if the wall is 1 feet thick wall or 2 feet thick wall, so in which case basically it is easy to penetrate, right? It is easy to penetrate if the wall thickness is thin. If the wall thickness is very much, then it is difficult for even for a wave to penetrate through it, right? So basically the wall thickness is something that it will actually affect the tunneling probability. Therefore, it has to be incorporated in our derivation. Well, for the sake of simplicity, let us imagine or divide the problem into 3 different regions, like just like in the case of particle confined to one-dimensional box. The left-hand side, that is x is less than minus a, that is region what I refer to as the region number 1. That is where the potential energy of the system is basically taken to be 0, right? And region number 2 is the region inside the wall. So in terms of notation, inside the wall means when x is in between 0 and minus a. Okay, when x is in between 0 and minus a, that region I represent with the region number 2. X greater than 0 is the region which I represent basically with a region number 3. So in the region number 1 and region number 3, the potential energy is taken to be 0 for the sake of simplicity. And within the region number 2, that is inside the wall, the potential energy is taken to be V0. Please remember this. Okay. Now, let me also make it very clear to you that we are not going to derive the other situation where the potential energy is greater than the potential energy is less than the energy of the particle, right? We are particularly interested in the special case, that is the energy of the particle is less than the height of the potential energy, or the height of the barrier, or the potential energy of the barrier, right? That is something that we are interested in, and the other cases, it is quite obvious, so there is not much to describe. Of course, you can make out what exactly happens if the energy of the system is greater than the V0. That can be understood even from the expression what we are going to derive. So that we will come to that later at the end of our discussion. But let me also tell you very interesting thing what we are going to derive. In the case of the classical particle, okay, if the energy of the particle is is greater than the potential energy of the barrier, then the transmission probability is 1, right? The transmission probability is 1. That means it is basically certain that you will see that the particle the other side of the barrier. So the transmission probability is 1. But whereas in the case of the quantum particle, even if its energy is greater than the barrier potential, right, the transmission probability is not 1. Okay, it is less than 1. So that we will come to that later, and when we discuss the tunneling probability expression. We can actually write down what is the Hamiltonian of the system. Of course, the Hamiltonian is the summation of potential energy plus kinetic energy. Potential energy operator is given by minus h cross square by 2m d square upon dx square, and the potential energy is V of x. Okay, and as you realize, the potential energy in this particular case, it is not changing with respect to time. Therefore, we can actually solve a simple time-independent Schrodinger wave equation, right? That is h psi is equal to E psi, and you can plug in the Hamiltonian value. What is Hamiltonian? Hamiltonian is minus h cross square by 2m d square upon dx square plus V of x. That is the potential energy. You can substitute in the time-independent Schrodinger equation, and we can basically label this particular equation like this. Okay, as you realize that the particle is basically traveling, therefore it has got a kinetic energy, and if the system is interacting with the surroundings, it will have a potential energy. So in this case, we have already defined the potential energy outside the barrier is basically taken to be 0 for the sake of simplicity, and inside the wall it is taken to be V0. So the time-independent Schrodinger wave equation, immediately we can write down for this particular system. And in order to obtain the wave function, okay, why we are interested in wave function? Because wave function is the one which describes the motion of the quantum system. Therefore, to obtain the wave function of the quantum system, so it is recommended according to the postulate number 4 that we have to solve the time dependent wave equation. But this is a special case where the potential energy is not changing with respect to time. Therefore, we will only solve time-independent Schrodinger wave equation. The time-independent Schrodinger wave equation has got two terms. One is minus h cross square by 2m d square psi of x by dx square plus v of x psi of x is equal to e psi of x. This expression we can save it as equation number 1. Okay, but because this is the expression that we are going to use it or manipulate this expression to get the final solution So in region number 1, that is the region where x less than minus a, its potential energy is taken to be 0. If potential energy is taken to be 0, the second term on the left hand side of the equation number 1 can be neglected, and what we get is basically is this. So minus h cross square by 2m d square psi 1 of x by dx square is equal to e psi 1 of x. Where from psi 1 of x has come? Well, in region number 1, we are considering the wave function as psi 1 of x. Okay, and region number 2, we will consider its wave function as psi 2 of x. And region number 3, we consider its wave function as psi 3 of x. And the total wave function psi of x is equal to psi 1 of x multiplied by psi 2 of x multiplied by psi 3 of x, right? That is how we are going to proceed. And here the potential energy is taken to be 0. So the second part on the left hand side basically vanishes, and only we will have this, right? And here you can notice that we have minus h cross square by 2m on the left hand side. So this you can move here, right? And you can write down like d square psi 1 of x is equal to d square psi 1 of x by dx square is equal to minus 2me by h cross square psi 1 of x, right? And the next, you can just substitute the constant, except that negative thing. This you can represent with k square. Okay, this you can represent with k square, and accordingly the equation term will modify to this. So d square psi n of x by dx square is equal to minus k square psi 1 of x, right? What is this? This is a homogeneous differential equation, second order homogeneous differential equation, and the solution can be easily taken from the mathematics knowledge, right? So these two solutions you can have it. One is that a multiplied by e to the power ikx, a multiplied by e to the power ikx. So you can just take this as a wave function, and what you do, you just try to calculate the first derivative. Then the first derivative you can calculate second derivative and substitute the values. Essentially we will get this this form, which means is that this a multiplied by e to the power ikx is just one solution. Similarly, b e to the power minus ikx is another solution of the same differential equation. You can just take an example and then try it out. Okay, I hope that you know how to calculate the first derivative of a multiplied by e ikx. Similarly, b multiplied by minus ikx, right? E to the power minus ikx. So both the first derivative you can calculate, and then calculate the second derivative, and then you will get this value. And similarly, you can also take another function like the linear combination of the two functions, that is a multiplied by e to the power ikx plus b multiplied by e to the power minus ikx. The linear combination of these two wave function, two exponential wave function, is indeed it is going to be is a solution of this homogeneous second order differential equation. Well, this is something that we have already discussed with regard to the in the past when we discussed the other model system. The same thing actually we are discussing. There is nothing new, right? Now, what is this A and B? The A and B are basically constant. We don't know what exactly the value of A and the value of B. So these are to be determined. But psi 1 of x is equal to a linear combination of A e to the power ikx plus b e to the power minus ikx is a solution of the wave function, second order differential wave equation, right? So if you are able to find a and b, that is enough, that your job is done. Let us move on to the third region. And the third region, again the potential energy is zero, therefore the minus h cross square by 2m d square psi 3 of x by dx square is equal to e psi 3 of x. So this is again another second order homogeneous differential equation. This is again second order homogeneous differential equation, and it will have its own solutions, like the exponential functions are the solutions, right? And in this case, the f multiplied by e to the power ikx is one solution to the expression that you see, a differential that you see on the slide. Similarly, g multiplied by e to the power minus ikx, these are also the solutions. Independently, they are also solutions of this equation. Similarly, this is also independently a solution of this equation, but the linear combination is again going to satisfy the same differential equation. Okay, so we got the solution in region number 3 as well. Okay, we got the solution in region number 3 as well. But here there is a small trick. The trick is something that maybe I will discuss now itself. Okay, you can see here in the previous case also, you can see here there is a linear combination of a multiplied by e to the power ikx, which actually you can see here the way it's an exponential growing function, and the second term b multiplied by e to the power minus ikx exponentially decaying function. So these actually represent the two different behavior of the quantum particle. Okay, you have a quantum particle and there is a barrier, and they are moving. The quantum particle or particles are moving. Okay, when it is encountering, when it encounters the barrier, so it may or may not penetrate through the barrier. It's a quantum system. Okay, when you take a basically an ensemble of quantum particles, okay, when you throw them towards a barrier whose energy is above than the energy of the quantum particles, then what you will see is that some of the particles basically reflect back and some of the particles basically penetrate because of the quantum tunneling behavior, wave nature of the quantum system, right? So therefore, in this solution, what you see here, there are two terms. The first term actually represent the particles which are actually going forward direction. Okay, the other one actually basically indicates the amount of particles which are actually reflected back. Okay, the a multiplied by e to the power ikx actually represent the particle going or penetrating through the barrier. Okay, the particle which are basically moving forward direction, and the other term in the solution, that is b multiplied by e to the power minus ikx, actually represent the reflected particles, right? The same logic applies in the region number 3 as well. In the region number 3 also, we have two situations. Like the first one, f multiplied by e to the power ikx plus e to the g multiplied by e to the power minus ikx. By the way, why we have written two different constant in the region number 1 and region number 3? As you can see here, after the penetration, after propagating through the barrier, the intensity of the wave is not same as the original intensity, right? Its wave nature is modified after passing through the barrier. So definitely the wave function is going to be different. Okay, as long as they confine to one particular region, and if nothing happens, if there is no interaction, the wave function may not change. But here what has happened, the same wave, but it has gone to the other side of the barrier. As a result, its properties have been modified. Therefore, the wave function should have some different pre-amplitude terms, constants. right? Now, in this particular case, again, the two terms, the two out of the two terms, this one actually indicates, this term indicates the number of particles which are actually moving forward direction after the tunneling behavior, whereas this one actually represent the number of particles which actually reflected back, which moves in the backward direction, right? That is the indication that we have in the wave function. The wave function has got two terms, that is e to f multiplied by e to the I kx, which actually represent the particles or the number of particles which are moving forward direction after the tunneling. And the other term g multiplied by e to the power minus I kx actually represent the number of particles which are actually moving in a reverse direction or reflecting back. Okay, this is something that has a problem. This particular term has a problem. See, after the tunneling, why a particle will come back again? Right? It doesn't come back, right? But the way we have got the expression is like, it has got two terms, all those things are there, right? So this is something that quite unlikely. This will not happen actually. So after the quantum tunneling, it will not come back, right? But when you are throwing a number of particles towards a barrier, this side, the front side of the barrier, there is a finite probability that there is a probability that some of them actually reflect back and then some of them penetrate, right? So therefore, we have a combination of these two things, and then in the wave expression, we have got two different terms, which explains, one explains the forward behavior of the wave quantum particles, the other one explains the reflected particles. So that makes sense. Whereas in the region number 3, if you get a solution like this, a linear combination of f multiplied by e to the power ikx plus g multiplied by minus ikx, it doesn't make sense, because after quantum tunneling, the second term, that is g multiplied e to the power minus ikx, will not have any actual meaning, physical meaning. Therefore, this can be neglected, and then the region number 3, we will have only one term, that is f multiplied by e to the power ikx. That is what it will be there. And coming to the second region, that is the region which is most important. So when x value is in between minus a and 0, its potential energy is taken to be V0. It is not 0. Unlike the previous region, that is region number 1 and the region number 3. Okay, so now the wave function expression, anyway, we can write down without taking much time, right? So here, the potential energy that we have to replace with V of x has to be replaced with V0. That's all. The rest of the things remain the same. And then, as we already decided, we wanted to denote the wave function in region number 2 with the psi 2 of x. Okay, now you can move some of the constant terms the other side, and basically you can write down this type of expression, right? So there is these two terms basically you can combine. These two terms basically you can combine, psi 2 of x, and then the other side it is e psi 2 of x. So both the things you can combine, and you can delete the negative sign also, and then final expression is this. So d square psi 2 of x divided by dx square is equal to 2m h cross square multiplied by v0 minus e psi 2 of x. That's an expression. And this particular thing that is a constant, as like constant 2m multiplied by v0 minus e by h cross square. Okay, this I am going to replace with another constant. This is called kappa. So Ka, PPA, it's a Greek letter. It is a kappa. So don't confuse with the other K which we have introduced. It should be written like this. Okay, so K is written, small k is written like this, and this is kappa. Okay. And then you can make the substitution, and we will get again another homogeneous second order differential equation, that is d square psi 2 of x by dx square is equal to kappa square psi 2 of x. Right? And for this, we can have two solutions like C multiplied by e to the power kappa x. Okay, this is kappa, not k. This is C multiplied by e to the power minus kappa x is definitely will satisfy this homogeneous differential equation, for which you have to take a first derivative, second derivative, and definitely that will take this type of form. Similarly, independently, this will also a solution of this. Both are solutions, and it is appropriate in quantum mechanics while deriving that if you have got two solutions and the linear combination will also be a solution, and of course it has to be multiplied with some normalization constant, anyway that will be taken care, and the linear combination is always preferred, and as a result that psi 2 of x will become the linear combination of two wave function, that is C multiplied by e to the power s minus kappa x plus d multiplied by e to the power kappa x. Okay, now we got three different wave expressions, that is psi 1 of x, psi 2 of x, and psi 3 of x. Now, what is something it is not known? We know that then once you know these things, and the product of these three will give you the complete wave function. But there are something that we don't know. This the constants are simply just like that. We have introduced a, b, and c, d, and also f and g. Of course, g is removed based on the physical intuition, but it has got the constant, and if you are able to determine the constant, and the wave function is known, right? Of course, that is a different thing. Now, what we try to do that, we will try to impose the boundary condition to obtain these constants. Okay, to obtain these constants, we will try to impose the boundary conditions. So the boundary condition in this particular case are basically, we have seen according to our definition, you can see two interfaces or two boundaries. One is region number 1 and 2, there is a boundary. Similarly, region number 2 and 3, there is a boundary. Okay, the wall is the boundary, right? So there are two boundaries, and at the boundaries, the wave function must be continuous, right? It is something that we have adapted while solving the particle in one-dimensional box Schrodinger wave equation. The same thing applies here, and it's not at the one boundary, but then the other boundary also, the wave function must be continuous. Okay, so this is a fair boundary condition which doesn't invite any problem. So we have to ensure the wave function outside the barrier, outside it is actually 0. Okay, outside it is actually 0, and then it is coming. The moment it finds a barrier, the wave function should not be abruptly some value, but rather it should be continuous. Therefore, for that reason only, we have imposed a condition that the wave function must be 0 even at the boundary. Similarly, the wave function is approaching the barrier this direction, and here it encounters the barrier, and abruptly its wave function should not be abruptly suddenly it should not be 0. Rather, it should be 0 even at the boundary. Okay, right? So these are the boundary conditions that we have adopted in the case of particle confined to one-dimensional box. Same thing can be applied here, and in addition, there is another thing, that extra boundary condition we have here in order to ensure the continuity of the wave function. The first derivative of the wave function at the boundaries must be 0. Okay, the first derivative of the wave function at the boundary must be 0. Must also be a continuous one. Okay, so that is something that it is a new addition, boundary condition, which we have not discussed in the case of particle confined to one-dimensional box. I hope that if you know how to calculate first derivative of the wave function, and of course you calculate the first derivative, and because the wave function is known in the case of region number 1, 2, 3, and so on, we have basically the wave function is known, and you can calculate the first derivative of the wave function for this region number 1, region number 2, and then substitute the value at the boundary. If it is x is equal to 0, then you substitute. If x is equal to minus a, you can substitute. Okay, so to summarize the discussion of boundary condition, please remember in the case of quantum tunneling, there are two boundary conditions. That is, the wave function must be continuous at both the boundaries. What are those boundaries? Region number 1 and 2, there is a boundary. Region number 2 and 3, there is a boundary. So at the boundaries, the wave function must be continuous. In order to accept the wave function, the wave function basically should be continuous. Similarly, not only that, the first derivative of the wave function must also be a continuous one. That's all. And then what we are going to do is very simple, like we'll try to impose boundary condition one by one to the region number 1 and 2 first, or maybe region number 2 and 3. And then we'll try to obtain some expression, and then we'll try to solve systematically. Now, we will begin imposing boundary condition for the region number 2 and 3 first. Region number 2 and 3, that means right hand side boundary. At region number 3 and 2, x value is 0. Please remember that is where we have kept the origin. So x value is 0, that you try to remember. Now, according to the boundary condition, if you try to put the boundary condition in a mathematical representation, this is what it is. We have got the boundary. At the boundary, we have this side one wave function, that side one wave function. So what we are going to do, we are going to substitute x is equal to 0. Why? Because if it has to be if you want to accept as a wave function, it must be continuous. It must be continuous means x is, at the boundary also the value, it must be continuous. So at the boundary x is equal to 0. Therefore, in the wave function we can substitute x is equal to 0. Similarly, the first derivative of the wave functions also must be 0. If you substitute first derivative and then substitute 0, then that will also, it must be continuous, right? So region number 2, the wave function is given by c times, this is the wave function, right? C times e to the power kappa x plus d times kappa x. Okay, now we can substitute what is the x is equal to 0. Why? Because at the boundary x, the value of x is 0. Therefore, here that x is equal to 0, if you substitute e power 0 and e to the power k 0, that is e power 0. So e power 0 is 1. Here also e power 0, 1. Therefore, from here there is a c, and from here there is a d. So this one is c plus d. Okay, so region number 2. And the boundary contained the other side, you have region number 3. That means it has got f multiplied by e to the power ikx. Okay, region number 3 wave function is f multiplied by e to the power ikx. So you can substitute x is equal to 0. If you substitute x is equal to 0, then it becomes, the wave function becomes f. Okay, now in order to get the acceptable solutions, at the boundary, the wave function must be continuous. That means both must be equal to each other. Okay, that means f is equal to c plus d. Okay, if you try to impose the boundary condition, this is something that the first step what we have done is just calculated what is the value of x is equal to wave, what is the value of wave function at x is equal to 0, and similarly what is the value of wave function in region number 3 at x is equal to 0, that is f. So in order to get acceptable solution, this c plus d must be equal to f. So this is, you can label it as expression number 1. And the secondary boundary condition you can apply to the boundary. What is the boundary? The boundary is 2 and 3. Region number 2 and 3 is the boundary. So you can calculate, you can take the psi 2 of x and calculate the first derivative. And you can also take the first derivative, third wave function, or the wave function in the region number 3. And then you try to basically calculate the first derivative. Okay, and then in order to get the acceptable solution, both must be matched each other. and from there you will get some expression. That is what it is done here. That you can see here, this is the wave function, and the first wave, of course, the wave function is not this. The first derivative, it is directly calculated here. It is minus c kappa e to the power minus kappa x plus d kappa e to the power kx. So e power x, the derivative of e power x is e power x itself. But here e power kappa x is there. Therefore, for kappa x, it is basically kappa times e to the power k kappa, kappa x. Likewise, you can write down, you can calculate the first derivative, then this becomes, and first derivative you can calculate here, and then you can substitute x is equal to 0. Because at the boundary, we are talking about at the boundary, the x value is 0, therefore x value must be substituted here. In this x value, if you substitute e to the power minus kappa 0 and e to the power kappa multiplied 0, it doesn't matter whether it is minus kappa x or plus kappa x, but e power x is basically 0, right? So therefore, the first derivative, if you take the second wave function, then it becomes minus c kappa plus d kappa. Similarly, the region number 3 wave function can be taken, and then you can evaluate the value x is equal to 0, and you will get that IKF, and you can compare. In order to get the acceptable solutions, then what you have to do is that you have to have this condition, that is IKF is equal to minus c kappa plus d kappa. Okay, and the left hand side here, you can see here there is a IK, and this IK you can divide. Okay, you can divide the entire expression, or else sorry, you can basically take the common factor kappa. This is wrong. So here there is a kappa, and here also there is a kappa. So common kappa can be taken outside, and you can substitute here. You can move to the other side. So it will be IKF by kappa is equal to minus c plus d. And previously we got f is equal to c plus d. So equation number 1. So from equation number 1 and 2, the value for d, it can be calculated easily, because you have got two expressions. So it just you take the summation. If you take the summation here, minus c and plus c both got cancel each other, right? And here 2d, that is 2d is equal to f. So from here it is f plus IKF by kappa. So f, if you can take it outside as a common factor, f multiplied by 1 plus IK by kappa. That is the value for d. And then further you can write down like this: d is equal to f by 2, 1 plus IK by kappa. Okay. And what about c? Well, c can be obtained. Of course, it's not very big deal. So previous expressions here, what I told you is that you can do a summation, right? If you can also do a subtraction, one from the other. When you subtract one from the other, the value for c also can be obtained. The value for c is nothing but f by 2, 1 minus Ik by kappa. That is, you can note down the value of d as well as the value of c. Right? Now with this, one job is done. Now you can also do the similar exercise at the other boundary, that is region number 1 and 2. Okay, the region number 1 and 2, at the region number 1 and 2 boundary, x value is minus a. Please remember that our barrier is of this type. Here this is 0, x is equal to 0. Okay, but here x is equal to minus a. Right? So this is our region number 1, and this is our region number 3, and this is our region number 2. Right? This is the 1, and this is the 1. Now, here we have completed the task, and here also you can complete it. Okay, the similar exercise. So at boundary, at the first boundary, that is region number 1 and 2, x value is minus a. Okay, therefore You can actually substitute the x value minus a, and then you can match both the things, because in order to have the acceptable solution, the uh, uh, they must be continuous at the boundary also. It is not only outside the boundary, but even at the boundary, the values must be at the boundary, that is x is equal to minus a also, it must be continuous, right? So that value you have to substitute in the region number 1. So you can take the expression of region number 1, that is nothing but a times e to the power ikx plus b times e to the power minus ikx. So that is the expression of psi 1 of x, right? So you can substitute just x is equal to minus a. At the boundary, it must be continuous. For that reason, we have to substitute x is equal to minus a, and we get basically a into e to the power minus ika plus b to the power e to the power of minus ika. Okay, and what about region number 2? Region number 2 expression is given by c times e to the power minus kappa x plus b times e to the power kappa x. So here in this expression, you can substitute what is x at the boundary value. At the boundary, it should x is equal to minus a. You can substitute x is equal to minus a, and here you got something, right? When you substitute x is equal to minus a, here you got something, and now you got something. So both must be matched each other. Why? Because in order to have the acceptable solutions, the wave function at the boundary must be matched each other, must be equal to, must be continuous. So for continuous verification, you just match, make it equal to, both of them equal to each other. So this expression, you can write it like, you can label it with the expression number 5. So that is what I have done. So a multiplied by e to the power minus ika plus b multiplied by e to the power ika is equal to c multiplied by e power kappa a plus d power d multiplied by e to the power minus kappa a. That is expression number 5. Okay, now we can also calculate the first derivative, right? We can also calculate the first derivative of the wave function in the region number 1. Similarly, we can also calculate the first derivative in the region number 2, and you can substitute x is equal to minus a in both the cases, and then you can match up each other. Ultimately, what we get is expression number 3. So this is already done by myself. You can just take the first derivative and substitute x is equal to minus a. And similarly, you can take the region number 2 expression, right? You can take the region number 2 wave function and then substitute x is equal to minus a. When you substitute, then you will get this. Essentially, what you get is basically is the expression of this type: a multiplied by e to the power minus ika minus b multiplied by e to the power ika is equal to minus kappa by ik c e to the power kappa a plus k divided by ik multiplied by d e to the power minus kappa a. You can just take a piece of paper and all those things will come out one by one. It looks very complicated, but these are really simple actually. So we got two general expressions. In the case, if you try to impose the boundary condition at region number 1 and 2, we will get two general expressions, both is 5 and then 6. Now 5 and 6, so this is, you can just notice this expression and you can just notice this expression. So on the left hand side, easily you can make it out that you can do a summation. Why? Because that this is a multiplied by e to the minus ika plus b e to the power ika. Here there is a minus b ika e to the power ika. So both are same. If you just take the summation, so b ika e to the b multiplied by e to the power ika minus b multiplied by e to the power ika, both get basically cancel each other, right? That is what it is done here. So we will get this expression. Okay, but what is C and what is D already we have obtained. Okay, C is nothing but there is some mistake here. Yeah, there is no mistake. Yeah, so C is nothing but f by 2 multiplied by 1 minus ik by kappa. Okay, and D is nothing but f by 2 1 plus ik by kappa. So in the previous equation number 3 and 4 are nothing but C and D values. So those values you can just substitute here, and you will get some different expression. And this expression you can label it with some other number, that is expression number 7. Okay, so once you got this expression, from here onwards it is a bit simpler. What you can do here, that you can take a common factor. What is common factor? You can just take it out, f by 2i k kappa, f by 2i k kappa. You can see here why I am doing all these things. Here f by 2 is there. Here also f by 2 is there. I just want to take those things as a common factor, right? And similarly, here in the here you can see that kappa will be there in the denominator. Here it will be ik. Here ik and then kappa will be there in the denominator. So altogether what I do is that f by 2 I k kappa, you can take it as a common factor, and then inside what you get is ik minus kappa multiplied by kappa minus ik e to the power kappa a plus ik plus kappa kappa plus kappa a, sorry, k plus kappa a. Okay, so this expression we will get it. If you take f by 2i k kappa, then this is what we will obtain. Okay, now what you can do here, ik plus kappa, k plus ik, sorry, kappa plus ik, both are same. So therefore it is ik plus kappa whole square. It is really problematic. So in this part, both are same. Therefore, you can just simplify it like kappa plus ik whole square. But here, you can see here ik minus kappa multiplied by kappa minus ik. So there is a negative sign. You can just take it as a common factor outside. So you can write like ik minus kappa as a minus of kappa minus ik multiplied by kappa minus ik. You can write like this. Okay. Now, what you get is, basically that is what it is done. So there is a negative sign is taken outside from the first term inside these bracket notations. Okay, and then now this becomes minus of kappa minus ik whole square, and there is a e to the power kappa x. So that is there anyway. So this one is nothing but kappa plus ik whole square multiplied by e to the power minus kappa a. Okay, so now what is kappa minus ik whole square? What is a minus b whole square? A square plus b square minus 2ab. So that fashion, if you can actually elaborate, you can split up the terms. You can similarly for kappa plus ik also you can split up the term and write down. Basically, you can expand the terms and write down. And then once you have done this, then finally what you can do here, that there is one factor, there is a kappa square minus k square, and there is another factor kappa square minus k square. So both are common from these two terms. Therefore, that can be taken as outside, and as a result, from here that there is e to the power of kappa a, it will come out, and but from here it not, that is not exactly that this one, but it is minus e to the power minus kappa a, it will come out. Similarly, The other two terms, that is these two terms, from the two terms, you can take 2i k kappa as a common factor outside, then it becomes e to the power kappa a plus e to the power minus kappa a will come. Okay, so this is a common factor, it is taken out, and this is another common factor, it is taken out. Okay, and of course there is a negative sign. That negative sign has been replaced with, instead of writing this way, it is already k square minus kappa square is written. Please note down that. So why we are doing all this thing, it will be clear to you. But let me recall two hyperbolic relations, that is sine hx, sine hx. So hyperbolic function sine h x is a hyperbolic function which can be expressed as e to the power x minus e to the power minus x. Similarly, sine hx can also be expressed in terms of e power minus, just a minute, something I have written. There is a mistake here. Let me correct it. This is not sine, this is actually cos. So this is a mistake from my side, and here, moreover, this is this. Okay, let us recall the two hyperbolic relation, that is 2 sine hx is equal to e to the power x minus e to the power minus x. Similarly, 2 cos hx can be written as e power x plus e to the power minus x, right? So based on these two relations, that we can actually summarize a little bit. Okay, we can actually summarize this. So what is this? Here you can see there is e to the power kappa a minus e to the power minus kappa a. So this is actually sine function, right? Sine hyperbolic function. Similarly, the other one is like e to the power kappa a plus e to the power minus kappa a. So this is a cos. So this is a sine hx, okay, and this is cos hx. Okay, that is what exactly it is done in the next step, and accordingly on the left hand side 2a e to the power minus ik is equal to f by 2i k kappa multiplied by k square minus kappa square multiplied by 2 sine h kappa a. Of course here it is kappa a, so that is x. X is nothing but kappa a, right? And similarly from this, actually 4ik kappa cos kappa a. Okay, now what we can do from here, there is in the denominator there is 2, but in this term there is a 2 and there is 4. So a 2 number 2 can be taken as a common factor outside. So if you do that, this is basically not there, and this will be 2. Okay, so these two actually cancel out. That is what is done in this step. Okay, so there is a 2 and 4, so 2 can be taken as common factor outside, which will be in the numerator, and in the denominator there is 2, so both get cancel each other. So ultimately we will get this expression. Now what we are trying to do is something that, let me tell you, as I told you that already I have mentioned this point, that when you when you shoot several quantum particles on a barrier, what exactly happens is that certain number of quantum particles penetrate through the barrier and certain number of quantum particles basically reflected back. And the forward motion of the particle which are actually traveling towards the barrier is represented by A times e to the power ikx. Similarly, B times e to the power minus ikx is represented, is basically denotes the reflected particles, right? So the moment they found the barrier, they basically, some of them basically reflected back. So that is represented by this. So we have in the region number 2, we have a linear combination. In the region number 3 also, we have only the forward direction, but there is no negative direction, right? So the essentially, if you look at this wave number, the wave equations, they have got a constant. So here the wave function psi3 of x, here please correct it, this is psi3 of x is equal to f times e to the power ikx, right? So what is f? What is f? F is nothing but it's like the sine function, that is amplitude, right? It's a constant, of course. We don't know what exactly it is. It has to be determined, but essentially it reflects the, it denotes the amplitude of the wave, that exponential wave. Similarly, here this particular thing will has got the another constant, that is a. This a represents the number of particles which are actually moving in the forward direction. What about this b? B actually indicates the number of particles which are reflecting back. Okay, why they represent the amplitude? Because they are just sitting just before the wave. The constant which actually sit along with the wave is actually amplitude, okay, intensity, amplitude or intensity, right? So therefore my claim is that, okay, a is the, f is the amount of particles tunneled through the particle, whereas a is the now a represents the number of particles which are basically penetrating through the particle, right? Moving forward, moving along the forward direction towards the barrier. Therefore, if you can take the ratio of these two, that actually gives the tunneling probability, isn't it? Like you have shine 100 number of particles, and of course 50, let's say for example, just for the sake of calculation, 50 actually reflected back, but 50 are moving in the forward direction, right? So that how many number basically penetrated through that? So if you know that number, accordingly you can calculate the tunneling probability, right? So this is exactly same as this, that the ratio f by a will give you will denotes the tunneling probability. Why? Because they represent the intensity or the amplitude, because they are sitting just beside the wave function, which is nothing but intensity or amplitude, nothing but they represent the number of particles which are either moving forward direction in the case of A, or which are basically tunneled through the barrier in the case of this particular expression. Okay, so essentially we in this particular expression we got a relation, that is 2a e to the power minus ika on the left hand side, and then right hand side we have got this complex linear combination which is multiplied by f by ik kappa, right? So we can actually rearrange this expression in order to have the tunneling probability. So the tunneling probability is nothing but f by a. Why? Because they represent the number of particles which are tunneled through, and a represent f represents the number of particles which are tunneled through, and then a represents the number of particles which are actually incidenting upon the barrier. So the ratio must be actually the tunneling probability. So I can basically rewrite the expression for f by a and f by a is equal to 2ik kappa e to the power ika by k square minus kappa square sin h kappa a plus 2I kappa k cos kappa a. So I can basically rearrange the previous expression, that's all. So f by a is nothing but the tunneling probability, but please remember that a tunneling probability cannot be an imaginary number. It has to be a real number, right? So the expression what we have got is having an imaginary function, therefore it must be taken into account. Of course, the tunneling probability is nothing but f by a, but the modulus of, okay, the modulus of f by a square gives you the tunneling probability. Okay, that is f by a is a ratio, but if you take the square of that particular ratio, it will give you the tunneling probability, and it is nothing but f star multiplied by f by a star multiplied by a, in other words. Okay, so now I got f by a value. I can actually do one thing. I can work it out for the numerator separately, and I can also work out what is this one. Okay, I can take the, I mean, what I mean is basically I can uh, take the modulus of, I can calculate modulus of f square, and similarly I can also calculate the modulus of a square, and then take the ratio which will gives you the tunneling probability. And please remember that tunneling probability depends upon the energy of the particle. So this is what exactly done here. So here f is in the numerator, which is nothing but 2I k kappa times e to the power minus ika. So that you can take the complex conjugate, right? What is the complex conjugate? In one case, it is, if there is I, you have to replace with minus I. And in this case, the modulus of f square, which is nothing but f multiplied by f star, is equal to 4k square kappa square. You can just calculate this. It will come very easily. Now, similarly, you can also calculate here in the a is in the numerator, a is equal to this quantity, right? A is equal to k square minus kappa square sin h kappa a plus 2I k kappa cos kappa a. And the complex conjugate, so wherever there is a I, you just replace with the minus I, then that will give you the complex conjugate. Now what you can do, that you try to simplify this expression. Okay, so the modulus of a square need to be calculated, which nothing but you can, which nothing but this one, it is of the form like, you know, alpha, and this is like beta. So alpha plus I beta, alpha plus I beta, modulus of alpha plus I beta whole square. That is what it is. This is given by alpha square plus beta square. This is given by alpha square plus beta square. So that you can work it out, and then finally what we get is this expression. Okay, if you just do this, you will get this expression, and from here k square minus kappa square whole square sin h square kappa a plus 4k square kappa square. Here one cos h square kappa a, which can be written as 1 plus sin h square kappa a can be written. So this is a simple relation that anybody can write down. And so you can convert the cos function into sine function and write down. And so if you can take it out, both the functions, that there is a sine h square kappa a as a common factor, and if you take it outside, kappa square, k square minus kappa square whole square plus 4k square kappa square, so that will come out, because from this, right, and from this you are taking a common factor, right? Accordingly, it will come out. Now here you can see here, you can concentrate here, k square minus kappa square whole square plus 4k square kappa square k square. So you can split up that one. What is that? K square minus kappa square whole square can be split up like a square minus b square whole square. How do you write that? A square whole square, right, plus b square whole square plus, sorry, minus 2 a square b square, right? Like likewise, when you try to do that, then you will get this expression. Okay, you will get this expression, and from this you can realize that minus 2k square kappa square, here 4k square kappa square is there, right? And from this is nothing but k square plus kappa square whole square. Previously, this is actually k square minus kappa square whole square plus 4k square kappa square. But if you split up this particular thing, and then if you remove this, if you can subtract 2k square kappa square with this, then what is left over is a 2k square kappa square, and then you have k square whole square and then kappa square whole square. So that combined together, what we get is this. Okay, so this becomes k square plus kappa square whole square. Of course, sine h square kappa as a common factor, thus that anyway it will come. Okay, and outside 4k square kappa square is there, that you can simply write down there. And that is what it is. So the modulus of a whole square is given by this number. And what is modulus of f square? That is 4k square kappa square. So you can write down that, and then a square value is nothing but, so it is denominator you can write down here, right? So it is written. Now what you can see here, that there is a 4k square kappa square, and here there is a 4k square kappa square. So in the denominator part, I can take it out a common factor, that is 4 kappa square. In the denominator we have a 4k square kappa square is a common factor, so that can be taken outside, and you can cancel that with this. Okay, so that is what exactly done here. The transmission probability or tunneling probability is equal to 1 over 1 plus k square kappa square whole square by 4k square kappa square sine h square sine h square kappa a. Okay, and please remember what is this kappa and what is the k. K is 2me by h cross square. This is what our definition. And what is kappa square? Kappa is 2m v naught minus v by h cross square. So those value, if you can substitute here, the tunneling probability will become 1 over this quantity, 1 over of that quantity. Now we can simplify this even further. We can simplify even further this particular expression. Suppose in this expression, so let's suppose in this expression there is a term that is 2m v naught minus capital E by h cross square, right? If that value is much greater than 1, if that value is much greater than 1, how do you make it? Well, that we can make it probably the mass of the particle, maybe I will increase, or maybe the energy of the barrier, maybe I will increase, or maybe I will reduce the energy of the potential barrier is very much high as compared to this one, the energy of the particle. So I will make this as a positive quantity, and basically the numerator I will make it more and more, as a result of which this becomes 1. It can be done. So right, so I'm going to look into this particular situation. Why? Because we are dealing with the quantum systems, right? So let us imagine this particular situation. If you Imagine this situation, t is equal to 1 over this expression, 1 over v naught square by 4 times v naught minus capital E multiplied by e to the power square root of, this is e to the power square root of 2m v0 minus e by h cross square by 2 multiplied by a. Okay, multiplied by a. So please remember that this a is outside. Okay, please remember this a, just a minute, this a is not there. Anyway, let it be like that, no problem. And then here, then you can just take a simplification. This simplification one can do it. Sin hx is equal to e power x minus e power minus x by 2. Right? Previously, I have given this expression. If x is much greater than, if x is large, then since it is exponential function, this will be minus much greater than 1. Therefore, this particular term can be neglected. If x is very large, e power minus x can be, because it is exponential decaying function, so therefore it can be neglected. So this becomes sin hx is equal to e power x by 2 when if x is very large. So from this, what is sin h square x is equal to, just take the square of that. So e to the power 2x by 4, right? So this simplification you can apply here. Now I am saying that 2m v naught minus e by h cross square is much greater than 1. This, okay, this exponential thing, this I am saying it is much greater than 1. If it is so, then it can be simplified in this fashion, that is e to the power 2x by 4 you can write down instead of sin h square x, right? So this one I have written here, that e to the power minus 2a square root of 2m v0 minus e by h cross square. Okay, so this is the transmission probability. You can just do a simple take a piece of paper and then you can do in a step by fashion, and all these things are very straightforward. Of course, if you have any doubt, I'm here to help you. Don't worry about it. And then from this expression, you can see here that transmission probability or tunneling probability T is given by 16e v0 minus e by v naught square multiplied by e to the power minus 2a square root of 2m v naught minus e by h cross square. That is the tunneling probability. Now in this expression, suppose you can see here, if the energy of the system is very, very high, what will happen? This is a tunneling probability expression. Okay, finally we will get this type of expression. And if the energy of the system is very, very high, then obviously the tunneling probability very, very high. There is no doubt in that. Then suppose if you increase the barrier potential, if you increase the barrier potential, what will happen? Well, again, I can't say just like that what will happen. Just look at the expression and try to understand what happens. And here you have an exponential function. If the barrier potential is increased, that means you have this is a kind of linear function, right? And this is exponential function. There are two functions. So linear, and then this is an exponential function. So if tunneling probability, what will happen to the tunneling probability if the potential energy is increasing? If this is increasing, this is in the denominator, right? This is in the denominator, therefore, and moreover, it is a square function. You may think that, okay, this will increase because If this is increased, then this is going to be more positive, then tunneling probability will increase. No, it never happens, because here you have, it is 1 over V naught square is there. So because of that term, and also the exponential term, you just look at that exponential term. If V is increasing, so there is a negative sign sitting over e to the power minus of 2a multiplied by square root of 2m into v0 by this. So this is an exponential form, and this, when v0 is increasing, that means exponentially it is increasing, but there is a negative sign. So it is going to be even more prominent decaying function with increase in potential energy. Therefore, the tunneling probability actually decreases. Similarly, what will happen to the width of the barrier? Width of the barrier is sitting over here. Width of the barrier is sitting only one place, that is that is in the exponential function e to the power minus 2a. E to the power minus 2a. Now, suppose you just imagine if width is increased, what will happen? Okay, exponential function, of course, it is exponentially decaying function. Okay, if the value is increased, and it becomes even more prominent decaying function. Therefore, again the same situation. If the value of A increases, which means is that if the barrier width is increasing, whether you have this much barrier or you have this much barrier, that actually matters. If it is small barrier, then there is more likely that particle tunnel through the barrier. Okay, and if barrier width is more, it is less likely that it will penetrate or it will tunnel through the barrier. That is one thing. So with the potential energy, well, if the potential energy is increasing, the probability decreases. Why? Because of the two factors. One is 1 over V naught square. The other one is it is sitting in the exponentially decaying function. And what will happen to the tunneling probability with the mass? Again, the same thing. Mass again is sitting only in one place, that is exponentially decaying function. That is again here, right? If m is increasing, naturally, exponentially the function increases, right? It is more decaying function with increase in m value. Therefore, again, the tunneling probability decreases. Well, that is because of the reason that the quantum particles will only show this tunneling probability. Other particles will not show the tunneling behavior. If you take a particle which is a mass heavier, okay, and whose mass is heavier or massive, then they will not show. And suppose if anybody asks you what is the probability of electron and proton molecule and atom and then some big molecule, then you have to remember that what exactly happens to the tunneling probability with the mass. With increase in mass of a quantum system, then there is a decrease in tunneling probability. So that you please remember. In fact, it was the question asked 2-3 times in CSIR examination.